everyone, welcome back to my channel, and if you are new, welcome to my channel. My name is Taylor. Alright, I'm just gonna jump right into the explanation that I wanted to give you guys for why I haven't been posting videos like I said I would. But basically I started my last semester of community college last week. So it's been a bit of a struggle to juggle schoolwork and hobbies, but I figured out a schedule that works for me, so my videos should be more consistent. I also came to the conclusion that I will be posting videos every Sunday, so just check me out on Sundays because there should be a new video starting with this Sunday, which is Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to all of the dads out there. I also came into another conclusion is that instead of posting my pregnancy updates week by week, I plan on doing just a first, second, and third trimester overview because I've noticed that with my second trimester, the weeks pretty much mesh together. You know, there's not much going on, which is the complete opposite of my first trimester. I had a lot of different things happening for me, so I just thought it would be better to just, have one big overview of each trimester. That way, the people that are watching can pretty much just get all of the information that they can get out of one video instead of having to go week by week by week. So I thought that that would be smart. So without further ado, I'm just going to jump right into my first trimester overview. So I'm pretty much just going to give you an overview of my first trimester in a timeline kind of order. Starting with the first day of my last period, which was January 17th, 2019. And up until that point, my periods were pretty consistent with the duration of them. They usually would last 4 to 5 days. But one thing that I did notice is that they were irregular in the day that they came each month. So when February rolled around, it wasn't a surprise that my period was a little late to me. But there was also these things in the back of my head because before, in January, that's when I started taking the pill. And before that, me and my boyfriend used condoms pretty religiously. So once I started the pill, all bets were off. So for me, when February came around, it was just a little bit of a gut feeling along with paranoia and intuition that kind of just made me think maybe you should take a test. So it was February 19th. I went to the dollar store and I did all of this while my boyfriend was at work because I didn't want to worry him. And if I was pregnant, I kind of wanted to surprise him. So I went to the dollar store while he was at work and I got 2 pregnancy tests for $1, a total of $2. And then I came home, I took the test. And when I took the test, the line was really, really faint. So there was like 50% of me that was like, oh, you're not pregnant. And then another 50% was like, okay, you might be pregnant, because I was Googling and, on Google they said even if the line is faint, that could be a positive. So the 2 tests were both pretty faint, but I was just like, I don't know how to feel. So I pretty much waited until my boyfriend came home from work that day and I told him, and his response, it wasn't what I expected, to be honest. I don't know, I was just expecting a little bit more emotion from him. He was kind of in the middle. He wasn't anxious or disappointed. He just was pretty much like, it's normal. Like, I don't know, I think part of him didn't believe it because I was also very doubtful of it because of the faint lines. So it was just, his response did throw me off. I'm not gonna lie, it kind of threw me off. But I had to remind myself that everyone is different. The way they react to things are different, so I can't hold that against him. But I was a little sad and disappointed in his response. But anyway, before he came home, I had made a appointment with the free clinic that is down the street from my home. And they basically give you a free pregnancy test, and if it's confirmed, they'll give you a free ultrasound. So I made an appointment with them for the next day, And me and my boyfriend, we went in the next morning, and it was a really, really nice environment, I should say. When we walked into the office, we were the only ones there, granted that. But overall, it was a very nice experience. It was nice being the only ones there because you don't want to walk into an office and have all these eyes staring at you like, oh, why is she here? So it was nice to be the only people there. And I should note that this was a Christian organization, and I'll give an example or explain that later. But yeah, I pretty much signed in, and then they took me right to the back. And I went into this room with this lady, and she was just asking me, questions about my sex history, the status of my life now as far as financially and mentally, asking about my relationship, all those questions. And then we ended up going into the bathroom after that, and she whips out this test. And to me, the test was pretty much like the one I got from Dollar Tree, because there are two different brands, and it seemed like the test was the other brand that I didn't get from the Dollar Tree. It was really weird. So I'm like, is this legit? But I took the test, and that line pretty much showed up instantly. She wanted to wait like 3 minutes, but it pretty much showed up like after 30 seconds. And I can just remember standing there next to her, and I started to sweat really crazy, and she just kept looking at me like, are you excited? Are you excited? And I'm just like, I'm freaking out. But pretty much after that, we went back into the waiting room to get my boyfriend, and I basically peeked through the door to tell him to come here, like to come in the back. And he was just looking at me, and he was like, you're pregnant, aren't you? Because I was smiling really hard, and I was like, yeah. And he was like, no, are you serious? I'm like, yes, I'm pregnant. And he just couldn't believe it. I can tell that he was like really shocked and overwhelmed. So we went back into the first room that I was in when she asked me questions. We went into that room with my boyfriend, and she pretty much just gave us a lot of pamphlets and resources that we could use, because there were a lot of things that they offered. And then this is like where the Christianity situation comes in. She pretty much, I don't want to say it was forceful, but she made it very clear that she wanted me to keep this baby, because she kept like bringing up the fact that God blessed me with this baby and stuff like that. And I already came to the conclusion that I was keeping my baby, but it was kind of like forceful almost. And I don't want to say it made me uncomfortable, but it made me really overwhelmed, because I do have Christian fit people in my family, but I wouldn't consider myself super religious. So it was a little much. And then she prayed with us, and then gave us a baby blanket, which I thought was really sweet. But overall, it was a nice environment. I couldn't have asked for anyone better to help me learn that I was pregnant. I think that she was an amazing lady, even though it was like bombarding me with Christian stuff. But it was nice. It was a nice situation. And pretty much after that, we went right into Walgreens to get some prenatal vitamins, and that was pretty much it for that. So after going to the clinic, the next few weeks were really, really tough for me, because I do have hyperemesis, which is basically a severe case of morning sickness. And the first 2 weeks after I found out I was pregnant, I didn't know that I had this disease. So I was really miserable. I could not keep anything down. I couldn't keep water down. I was in bed literally every day, all day. It was so depressing. And my boyfriend just felt hopeless because he couldn't help me with anything. He didn't understand. He didn't know what to do. So it was really hard. And that's when I started to go to the emergency room consistently, because I didn't have a primary care doctor, because I wanted to go get the free ultrasound from the clinic I just went to, but they scheduled it, 4 weeks out. So I just wanted to wait until I had the ultrasound to make sure everything was okay before I went and got a new doctor. So that first month was really, really tough for me. I would say I was in and out of the ER a total of 4 times. The 4th time I was hospitalized for 2 days, because at that point I had lost a lot of weight, and they just wanted to make sure that I could gain some of it back and, just get me on a schedule of anti-nausea meds that would work for me. And ever since then, I've been pretty good. You know, I do have my occasional nauseous moments, but for the most part, I'm able to keep everything down. Um, so those 4 weeks went by, and I had my first ultrasound, and she checked to see if everything was there, like the yolk sac and stuff like that. Everything was great. And so from there, I pretty much scheduled an appointment with an OB that they prescribed to me. I wouldn't say prescribed, pregnancy ring. That they, I don't know the word, they suggested to me, okay. The OB that they suggested to me, I went to her, and that wasn't for another 3 weeks, I would say. So at this point, I was kind of freaking out because I was having a lot of nauseousness and just, you know, first trimester issues in general. So I was really worried about the baby. So when we went there for the first visit, it was just so calming to see, like, that the baby was okay, to see that I had a good doctor, and to see that, you know, I had stability now. It was a great feeling. So pretty much, first trimester pretty much had a lot to do with just extreme morning sickness, throwing up, trying to find a remedy for that. Getting up the courage to tell my family that I was pregnant. So the first person that I told obviously was my boyfriend, but after that, the next person that I told was my mother. And I told my mother first because she was always excited about me having a baby because I am her only daughter. So she thought like, okay, my daughter's having a baby, that means that this is my baby, because like I have 4 other brothers and their kids are more like the baby mother's kids in a sense. It's just, I don't know, it's just the dynamic of things nowadays where if the daughter has a baby, it's pretty much closer to her side of the family, and that's just what it is. So my mom was really excited, and she was just really hopeful that I would keep the baby, but I made it clear to her that I want this baby more than anything. And so after that, she advised me not to tell my dad's side of the family because she thought that they weren't going to be supportive. But it was just this anxiety that was just eating me up. And I think that that had a lot to do with also making me really nauseous and sick, was just the anxiety of knowing that I'm keeping this from my family. So I would say it was about the middle of March when I finally told my dad. I called my dad and I told him, and I kind of went at it from the angle of I felt bad because I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm pregnant and I'm keeping this baby, blah, blah, blah. Because I mean, it's hard for me to like be that kind of person, like I'm doing this and I don't care what you say. It's hard for me to be like that. So I went from a kind of, I don't know, a kind of standpoint where I wanted him to kind of feel bad for me. I don't know. So he was just pretty much like, why are you upset? You know, this is a blessing. He was so excited, honestly. And I just wasn't expecting that because I am still in college. I'm trying to get my bachelor's degree. And, you know, it's just I'm not in the most stable situation. So I was really surprised that he was willing to accept the situation from the jump. And then he went on to tell my sisters, which I really wanted to do myself, but they were a little salty that I wasn't the one that told them. But they pretty much got over it. My oldest sister, she was a little disappointed because she was afraid that I would not finish school. So that was her biggest worry, was that I wouldn't finish school. But it went on from there. It went better. Like, she got over it. So that was good. So I got all the support from my family. And then the last person that I had to tackle was telling my grandmother, because my grandmother, the dynamic of my life has been my grandmother has basically raised me. And she even told me like a month before I even knew I was pregnant that, you know how to practice safe sex. So I was like, yeah, grandma, no big deal. But I was already secretly pregnant and I didn't want to tell her. So it was funny how she pretty much already kind of knew. And then she even pointed out that I was gaining weight. And I was like, oh, no, I don't, you just seeing stuff. But yeah, I was already pregnant. And so a month went by, I told her, and she cried. You know, I wouldn't say she was disappointed. She was just sad more than anything. But, you know, my dad kept reminding me that my grandmother had my uncle really young, which is her firstborn. She had him when she was 19, and she went on to be a RN. So, it's like having a baby young isn't going to stop your dreams or your goals. So she pretty much got over it and she became excited. And then pretty much after that, my family went on to meet my boyfriend because my family had met my boyfriend at that point. So they got a chance to meet him and they really liked him. They noticed that he was basically a male version of me and that he was a good guy. So I think that that made them feel even better about the situation. So that's pretty much it of my first trimester. Not much has happened besides the nausea and vomiting, telling my family, getting through the percentage of miscarriage because that was something that worried me a lot. But yeah, that was pretty much it. It was I wouldn't say it was smooth sailing, but it definitely wasn't as eventful as my second trimester has been. A lot has happened as far as my health and just my life in general. So I'm going to be really excited to share with you guys that in a few weeks. But overall, that's pretty much it. If you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, don't be afraid to comment below and subscribe. And I just hope you all have a great Sunday and happy Father's Day again to all the dads out there. Bye.